Luna.
All right, so I'm looking
Situation.
for an update on Luna. Let me give you what I know, okay? Everybody is starting to catch up the news. They're starting to somewhat shit on him and saying, hey, the fork isn't a good idea, how trash talking crypto crashed or caused a $40 billion crash, all this stuff. They're starting to, put him in a light that looks irresponsible. What I was trying to figure out is what was the vote? So the way I understand it, they were going to vote, like the Terra Luna team, Terra Luna Labs, they were going to vote. And I don't know how much influence the CEO has, and I don't know how many people or if there's a board or how it works, but it was supposed to happen on the 18th. If you're in the US right now, it's midday on the 18th, but Asia time, it's 12:38 a.m. on May 19th. So maybe the vote already took place, and maybe they're waiting to announce it on the 19th, which would be, I don't know, in 7-8 hours, Asia time in the morning. I don't know. But what I'm kind of looking at the possibilities here, and this sounds really weird, it might sound counterintuitive, but I have Luna, right? And I bought at a really low price, most of what I have. But I also bought some at $25, at $1, at 50 cents, at 1 cent, because I didn't know, none of us really thought it was going to go that far down. But I have a decent position and I bought really, really low. So what does this mean? If 90% of the people, if you get on like Twitter and everybody's don't fork, don't abandon the project, you shouldn't be able to do a new project because the other one failed type of thing. So if we can play up or hope that this guy has an enormous ego, the CEO, this guy, and he somehow either legitimately or has enough influence to where it doesn't matter that 90% of the people don't want this fork. Instead, they want them to do some sort of a burn or just a combination of things. If he does not do that and goes against what the people want and can get away with it legally, I believe the price is going to crash. That's not FUD. That's realistic. 90% of the people want nothing to do with your new plan. You've had two versions of a plan of doing a fork, and 90%-ish don't want you to do it. I think it's going to crash again if that happens and he pushes it through. Now, if somebody talks some sense into him and says, hey, like 90% of the people that kind of like Luna don't want you to do this, maybe we should try to make them happy and show a little bit of reassurance to investors and try to do something with the burn and bringing money in and all that. If they do that, the price is probably going to soar. So which one do I want to happen? Well, I want both to happen, and let me explain. I want his ego to get in the way and him to push back and say, no, we're doing the fork. You guys don't know what you're talking about. You don't know what I know. And I want a sell-off to occur. And I want it to drive the price down to just nothing. This is finally the end. And I'll probably buy. And it depends how far it goes, how much I buy. If we get into this little green area here, it's probably gonna, I might get a little more into it than I want on a risk-based level. If we get anywhere in here, I'll start to buy, and below, because as you go down, the multipliers, I gave this example yesterday, and I had some guy that seemed like he was trolling me, and after enough comments, it seemed like he was younger or he's just older and immature. And he's saying, hey, you didn't secure positions with 6 zeros. And I'm like, okay, well, I'm getting too old to care about trying to mislead people. I just tell it like it is. And the same the 10 million Luna that I bought down around here cost, I think, $1.64. Let me say that again. 10 million Luna cost $1.64. I bought in a bunch of blocks, some bigger, some smaller, because as I was buying on the way down, it almost started to be a little bit silly because I didn't know how far it was going to go. By the time I would buy this one and then I would buy another block, the value of what I bought up here was almost nothing. I had to keep pumping it in. And it ended up working out for me, but that 10 million, an example block of $1.64, yesterday was 18 or 1900. Okay, and that is not taking into account the highs we saw on Saturday up here. It was way down here. So if you can't wrap your head around the difference in between $1.64 with the same thing that you could get for $1,800 at the time that was going on yesterday, then you can't be helped. I'm just saying that the farther you go down, the more zeros you get in front of the price, the more life-changing type of gains you could get if it ever recovers. So yes, I'd like him to resist, and I'd like him to cause a sell-off, and everybody else is going to be losing their shit. I'm going to be buying, not an over crazy amount. It's just a responsible amount based on the risk I want to take. And then when the sell-off occurs and everything goes to shit, he's going to have to reconsider, and then he could come in and say, oh, well, maybe he won't say it like this, but it'll be like, oh, maybe I should do a burn. And if we do a burn, then the price is going to soar. Now, if this happens, it achieves two things. One, it could be kind of planned, but it lets him play out his ego a little bit and be forced into a corner. But two, it could just be a ruse, and the sell-off could occur to allow big money to secure positions that you're never going to see again. And then, that is technically manipulation, but I don't know if you're going to be able to prove it. So if a sell-off occurs, it comes all the way down here, they reevaluate, they hatch some new plan they've been thinking about the whole time, the price soars, we never see prices here again or down here, and that's kind of the story I'd like to happen. Now, the less interesting story